From here, let's jump on over to the DAW, and I'm going to show you what to do with all these inputs we've got from drum microphones and how to process them using my favorite plugins and how to build a little mix out of the box as you're tracking. And then when you get everything recorded, we're going to start mixing in the box. That's the way I like to do it. When I'm tracking and we're not done tracking, I like to kind of keep things out over the mixing board so we can easily grab things and move them around for headphone mixes. And you never know what a session's going to entail. So I don't like to start putting things in the box until everything's been recorded. And I'll sort of start building things in the box. I'll start getting my mixes and stuff and my plugins established as I'm going, but I keep everything coming back out of over the mixing board until we're all done. When I'm completely 100% done tracking and everybody's done, I'll say, okay, let's start building a mix. And then I will go into the box and start doing it there. That's where the hybrid comes in. I'm a big fan of old school mixing on the console, but these days you've got to be able to recall several different bands over several different weeks or months coming back again and again, wanting to make little changes on their mix. You can count on it. I guarantee you're going to have remixes. Nobody's ever going to be completely satisfied or want no changes later on. They might come back a few days or a week later to make changes, or they might come back months or even years later to make changes. One of their songs might have done well, and they need an instrumental version of it. If you didn't make that, you can come back, pop it up in the DAW, and just mute the vocals and print an instrumental mix exactly the same as the rest of the mix. In the old school days, we would have to bring back every single fader, EQ, patch point. It was a nightmare to get it, and it never exactly sounded the same because something always changed a little bit in the studio or something like that. So the last thing I use down here in this little section is for my Talkback switch. This console has a Talkback section right here, which is really nice. It has a little speaker, a little microphone built right into the console's meter bridge here, which is an Omni mic that picks up. It's a really great little mic, well thought out. It picks up the whole room. So that's a great little Talkback switch. The only thing I don't like about it is it's not a latchable switch. I wish that had a little indent so it could lock and remain in the on position, but it does not. As far as I know, there's no way to make that lock. So what I've done, I've routed this microphone right here into 32. So I can bring that mic up in the headphones or on the speakers if I want and leave it on. That way if I'm doing other things in the room or I'm doing something, I don't have to stop and press that and hold that Talkback switch to talk to the musician. I can just always have a channel on and everybody can hear me at all times. And then when I want to mute that switch, I just engage the mute switch, the mute on the channel right there. It's a great little way to keep communication going all the time. I'd rather be on all the time so people can hear me and then turn myself off than always be off and having to press a button so that people can hear me. I kind of flipped it, and that way you can always hear what I'm saying, which may not be a good thing. You got to be careful with that Talkback switch. If it's on and you're talking smack about somebody, be careful because they might be hearing you. Anyway, it's a good reason not to talk about people, but that way you can just mute that on and off as you need. Keep the mic open, walk around the room, get out of the way. Even somebody else can come up and talk into that microphone, and then I'm back in there. And then when we roll tape, I still say roll tape. When we start recording, I mute that switch. That way they're not hearing anybody in the control room talking while they're trying to record. Or if the air conditioner or fan is on, they're not going to hear that noise as well. So it's going to be a nice quiet headphone mix for them. And then when the take is done, open that mic up and start talking to them again. And you can still, of course, use the other mic as well. So that's my little Talkback switch. If you want, you can even put a little bit of reverb on your Talkback. If you want to sound like a Greek god, you can do that. Or you can EQ it and, of course, adjust the level. And even the panning. If you wanted to just be in their left ear, you can do that here. Again, the console comes in really handy for these, the flexibility in being able to route that little Talkback switch. If you wanted, you could send that to separate people. You could have you could make it so the drummer could hear you talking to him, but none of the other headphone mixes could. That way, if you wanted just to talk to one player or groups of players, you can do that here in combination with the volume knobs, as well as little mute switches that come up there with that. So another good little tip about the microphone. I guess if we're talking about mics, we got to mention this one. This is an old Shure SM57B or Beta. I don't know if they make these anymore. I think they might not, but this is a beautiful little mic. I had a couple of them, and this is the only one remaining, but I use it for my Talkback switch. It's like a 57, but it's got that blue stripe. I miss them. It had a little bit more of a output volume. It was a little more power to it, so it was a little louder than a 57. And I think it had a little bit more, cardioid. I think it had a narrower scope, which is nice because you can kind of point it around the room depending on who's talking, and it'll reject the other parts of the room. And more importantly, it will reject these speakers, so it doesn't feed back unless you start really cranking up the speakers. So if you have the Talkback mic up and you start turning that up, this will reject those speakers and you won't get a feedback loop. It will eventually. If you really crank it up, it'll start feeding back, but that's a nice mic for that. If you get an Omni mic, it's going to feed back a lot more easily, so be careful of that. You want to get a little cardioid or even a hypercardioid mic in there that you can point right at your mouth like that. Talkback 101. There's no reason that you have to have just one Talkback mic in your recording room. You've got one here on the board. You've got this one right here. You've got all these other channels. In addition to using them for effects returns, I've got a second Talkback plugged way over there by my computer station. I've got another microphone just sitting on the desk over there, coming in right here. So I have a second Talkback mic, so I don't have to scooch back and forth between the DAW and my mixing board. I tend to kind of sit over there and operate the computer, leaving this space open for musicians to stand and watch and communicate. I'll be over there editing or taking a nap. And but I have a second. I got tired of rolling back over here to mute or unmute these switches. What I'll do is have a second mic over there that I can talk to, and I've got actually a little mute box over there that I can mute that microphone without coming over here and hitting that. It's a super nice thing I picked up. Just because I'm a lazy guy. I like to sit back over there with my mouse and my tea and just talk to musicians and operate the DAW. It's kind of my specialty. I don't have to slide over here every time I want to talk to somebody. And when I'm done, I just press the switch over there and mute it, and they're not hearing me instead of coming over here. So what I'll do is I'll leave this Talkback muted, this one unmuted from the DAW, and use the mute switch over at the DAW instead of coming over here. I hope that's clear. And again, you can route that to any headphone mix you want. It can be just one person or everybody. So you've got control over your Talkback levels as well as your cowbell click. Your metronome click is right there. You've got a couple effects returns, some reverbs. That's kind of what I do with this section over here. Really nice to have that extra little section. And that's not affecting my instruments coming out down here, which has got a completely separate EQ area. And this is kind of all separate up here. The only thing that's shared is up here. This is the only area that's shared by these two sections. And it's a little tricky. You kind of have to know how to use those buttons up there, depending on whether you're using reverb or a Talkback or whatever. But that's a little confusing for some guys, but you'll get a handle on it. So I think that's it, guys. That pretty much shows my signal flow coming in from the drum booth through my inputs to the DAW, coming back from the DAW out of my faders. We've talked about headphone mixes, how to get little reverbs and stuff like that going, even EQ. I think that shows you how quickly with the mixing board you can start a session without having to go through all kinds of changes. The nicest thing is just, at the end of the day, I put these down flat. You don't even have to put them down if you don't want. You can leave them in the position. And these I'll just turn off. I simply turn them off. If you want, turn off the phantom power and the drum booth is closed. Turn off the light and go home. And the next time you want to do a drum session, you've already got everything set. You just pop them back up, arm your tracks, and hit the red record button. So I hope that explains it. Let's jump over to the computer, and I'm going to show you how to use the computer instead of a tape deck to record your drums, and some basic processing and techniques that I think you're going to like over in the DAW.